Hi, Destiny Squad. How are you doing? I hope that you are doing really, really well. This week so far has been quite. No man, I'm trying to get something off my my laptop screen. Okay, much better. Yes, Destiny Squad. I hope that you're doing so well. This week has actually been, quite a week, especially in the UK, because you know that we hardly get snow in the UK. But snow decided to visit us this year. And of course, I can imagine if you were like me during on Monday, then of course, you probably were not sure exactly how to approach it. So for me, sorry, when I was driving out, it's as if I wasn't really sure because that was actually the first time that I was driving in snow. So of course I took a turn, quickly turned the steering. Then of course I felt the car starting to slide. So I quickly said, okay, I caught on quickly where I realized that okay, I need to drive in a lower gear. And then after driving, putting the car in a lower gear, everything was smooth from there. Of course, some people talking about lower gear, wondering. Of course, I specialize in only driving stick cars. I don't know, there is something about driving stick cars that I really, really love. So I don't think it is going to change anytime soon. But just to say, I was a bit surprised and very pleased with myself as well that I was able to sort of, handle myself in the snow, how I was able to adjust. I actually passed some accidents, on the road. Of course, no surprises there. In the UK, we hardly have snow. So when snow comes, we don't know how to react. Of course, the trains were down and it was just chaos. But just to say, look, we have gotten over it. And each time we have snow, we are learning little by little how to sort of handle it. Okay, so that's out of the way. Midweek, hump day. I don't know how you're feeling. I hope that you are feeling, well, that you have just 2 more days to go. So you have to pick up your energy and, just give it one last push. We are nearly there, 2 more days. And then what, weekend again. So, just to say, yes, that's it. Okay, look, I am not going to show off. Honestly, I am freezing. So I have my cardigan here. And so for the rest of the time, I will be sporting my cardigan. All right? Okay. So what much better. Okay. So the topic for today is you know, is the traditional industrial action techniques, are they effective anymore? Or, will trade unions need to come up with a different strategy? Is it working? When you look into it, who really is suffering? Who really is feeling it? Is the government moved anymore when people take industrial action? So those are some of the things that, I want to touch on because this year has been quite an eventful year in the UK. So many industrial actions, and I think that there are about probably five, six, or seven planned for the rest of the year. So we have Royal Mail. I know that nurses from some of the trust will go on strike. I know ambulance crew. There is also people from the airports who will be going on strike, and a few others. Industrial action is a reflection, well, definitely what is happening here. With so many industrial action, it is definitely a reflection of what is happening because we are actually going through a recession, And when we go into the supermarket, the money simply cannot stretch. So it's a reflection of how, far removed our salary is from inflation, So it is not that people is putting on a show. It is really that people are actually, going through a hard time. And of course, this year, on top of everything, there's a hike in the utility bills as well. So it is really a stressful time that everybody is going through. But let us look at industrial action. Who really is being affected? If you look at it in the past, whenever there was industrial action, it was usually scheduled in such a way at such a time where it will have for it to have maximum effect, to cause maximum disruption, to the point where governments, the authorities would normally just give in to the desires, the requirements of the trade unions, the requirements of the workers. But nowadays, I am not sure how effective these industrial actions are anymore. Because if you look into it, now more often than not, the industrial action actually take place and still no agreement is reached after it. A case in point has been the ongoing, strikes with the trains. I think that has been happening off and on for over a year. And when you look into it, the government, to the best of my knowledge, they have not given in. So when you look into it, does the government care who really is suffering? Or is it that people have just become immune to it, in that people come to expect industrial action, and instead of actually, making an uproar, what they actually do is that they actually plan around these industrial actions. So for example, whenever there is like a train going on strike, taking industrial action, the buses, what you realize is that people actually plan to drive that day. They actually work from home. They actually take different strategies, different routes. So when you look into it, no longer are people, making a fuss about industrial actions. They are actually just getting on with their lives. And in some cases, what I've noticed is that some of the people taking industrial action, they're actually losing out. And I'm going to explain. So, for example, with Royal Mail, if you look into it, definitely I do agree that, whenever these strikes happen during, at specific time, for example, in the Christmas holiday now, where that a lot of people actually are sending presents by post to other people. And with the rise in online shopping, then you have a lot of parcels to be delivered. But what have you noticed? Instead of people making an uproar, you actually have other delivery services taking over. So some people, whereas Royal Mail is the national delivery service. So a lot of people before now actually were just concept they would just send their post by Royal Mail. Nowadays, people are exploring the different options. So you have a lot of delivery companies. You have Parcel Force. Let me see if I can remember some. You have Every, which is former Herms. Um, the others, right? So what you notice is that people are actually using the other delivery companies. And of course, if you purchase through Amazon, you know that sometimes they have their own deliveries. So when you look into it, when, for example, Royal Mail goes on strike, What people will ultimately do is that they will limit the use of the service, where they may instead choose to actually um, have goods delivered using the other delivery companies. So you will have, because you will have where sellers, because they don't want the bad reviews, they may just bypass Royal Mail and actually use the other delivery services. Now, when this happens, then of course, you never can tell. Perhaps it will result in the loss of jobs. And when I say the loss of jobs, it's not the loss of jobs because Royal Mail staff have gone on strike. It's the loss of job because enough work is not going on, in that Royal Mail is not getting a lot of parcels to deliver. I am saying not now. I am saying down the line, people might just decide that, okay, we will bypass this. This is now the norm. We know that when people go on strike, we just use alternative. We are not going to make a fuss about it. We are just going to do plan B. Okay, so that's it. I have also read that some people at airline Gatwick, Heathrow, at the airport will be going on strike. Now, when you look into it, in times past, what would have happened was that the authorities would probably have done everything, no matter what, to sort of, resolve the dispute so that the strike does not go ahead. If you look into it, even if they are negotiating behind the scenes, which I think that they are doing, in the meantime, what the authorities are doing is that they are having like soldiers on standby to step in. So when you look into it, instead of resolving, it's not like they are saying it's the end of the world if things should happen. Now, what the government is doing, instead of making, trying to solve, I should not say instead of trying to solve the problem, instead of giving in to the desires, the request of the trade unions, they actually just use a plan B, right? So when you look into it, I am not sure if industrial actions, if they are that effective anymore. It is not saying that it is not working. What I am saying is that people are becoming immune to the different sectors going out taking industrial action. So they don't make a fuss anymore about what is going on. But what will probably start happening is that perhaps the airline industry, perhaps, seasonal ticket holders, perhaps the wording of these contracts will have some rewording will have to be done to take into account, if an industrial action takes place during, for example, the time when you are supposed to schedule to fly so that you cannot travel, seasonal ticket holders, what is in the contract to sort of cover you if there is industrial action and you are not able to travel. So I can see where actually rewording of contracts could come into play, because the contracts, how they are worded, perhaps does not go far enough to cover the possibility of industrial action. I'm not sure if industrial action comes under natural. I'm not sure. No, that's not a natural disaster. Mm, I am not sure how the law would cover that. And that is something that I'm going to read up to see if what could be done if you are not able to travel because of industrial action, if it's an automatic rebooking, or if you simply just lose that money. Another question, could be, is it that the government doesn't care anymore? Or is it that nowadays the politicians cannot relate to the ordinary people, in that a lot of them are from, wealthy enough background? So when people are struggling, when people are going on industrial action because, they cannot afford the basic necessities of life, is it that because they cannot relate, then, nobody is there to actually say, look, we need to take a second look because people are really suffering? Is it, and I'm just asking the question, I do not have the answer, but is it that the politicians are far removed, that they just cannot relate to what is really happening in what I would term the real world? I don't know. I am just throwing out the questions to say, look, is it that it are, industrial actions, are they effective as they used to be? Or could it be that trade unions will now need to go back to the drawing board, think of some other strategies, when requests are not met? Because this traditional way of protesting, taking industrial actions, this traditional way is actually not effective anymore. It could have to do with, changes in society. I am just not sure. It is just an observation that, it's probably not working anymore. So, new strategies might have to be invented to actually get others to comply, to help the negotiation process. So this is just an observation, like I have said. I hope that it will, I'm not sure if probably you were thinking the same thing, or perhaps even if you never thought about it, perhaps now that I have said it, you are probably thinking that, actually it's not as effective as it used to be. What do you think? Right? So that was all I wanted to say on this particular topic. On Friday, come back on Friday. And of course, I have just uploaded a video as well, probably 30 minutes ago, and it has to do with changes in the UK's immigration system. So, of course, when you are finished, have a look. This week as well, I have done some shorts. I think they call it shorts, very short videos on YouTube, 15-second videos. So, of course, when you have the time, take a look as well. As usual, thank you so much for your support. And I look forward to actually, you joining me on Friday again. And of course, like I've always said, this is always a video afterwards. Thank you so much for viewing the video. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me as well. Until another time, I say peace, everybody. And of course, enjoy the rest of the week. Stay safe as well. Thank you. Bye.